I don't really have it figured out. This is
Finding like your groove.
yeah. I genuinely enjoy doing this. Like I don't not saying that I don't care if nothing comes out of it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Well, yeah, that's step one. Enjoy it.
right. If you don't love it, then it's like eventually,
You're gonna do it.
right. So that brings me to my point. How did you figure out that you wanted to do this?
Cut hair or own a shop.
We could start with cutting hair first.
Oof, cut hair. Yeah, when I was I think ever since I was young, every time I would go get a haircut or they'll bring me to get a haircut, I remember just liking it, liking the sounds, the smell, like everybody walking in and out, identifying the best barber,
Right.
wanting to sit in
Oh
his
shoot.
chair.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I remember those days. I remember back in the day when I used to go with my parents, I couldn't get a cut with the best barber
Why?
because he was too busy, probably was too
That's
much.
true. That's
You
true.
know, and they was like, this guy does a good job. He's our cousin. Go to him. And I remember just inside, I'm like, no,
Nope.
I want the best.
So what happened?
I mean, I meet it. I guess subconsciously that gave me like kind of like a look up to that nasty barber. You know, they didn't realize it, but
Yeah.
they made him untouchable. So it was like I put him on a pedestal.
Oh shoot.
And then I would just, I always watched barbers cut hair. I would just watch the process, watch somebody get transformed, and I think I always just had an interest in it. Um, then I started to do it when I was about 14. I think a cousin of mine came down from Philly,
Yeah.
and he needed a touch up. My mom had some clippers lying around from when she went to hair school, and she never followed through with it.
Yeah.
Kept the case around the house. I picked them things up, and it was good enough to know that I wasn't gonna be average,
Right.
you know.
So that was the first time you cut your cousin's hair.
Yeah,
That
that
was the
was it.
first time you ever picked the
First
clippers
ever.
in.
But I had watched it so much that I kind of like I knew where to start.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but it was better than probably most people would do on their first time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That means you knew. So when you walked out of that cut, right? Your cousin got up. What did he say? What was it like? What was the moment like after
He
that?
encouraged me because he was older than me, but I had to be terrible. It had to be. But it was better than maybe, like if 100 people did a first cut, I would be top 10. So
That's
it was good enough for me to just be like, maybe I should keep doing it.
all right. So, cause now you painting the picture for me, right? Cause
Yeah.
I saw you at, I don't want to call this the finish line, but I saw you I don't know anything
Oof.
before
A lot.
what I know now.
Yeah,
So
there's a
now you
lot.
just painted like this little picture for me. So after that, right? You're 14. What's going through your brain? Do you forget about it, or like, and it comes back later on, or you're like in your brain, you're like, yo, I'm about to be a barber. Like this is it. I found the
Nah,
thing.
not at all. Not at all. I grew up drawing, so I left that part out. Everybody in the neighborhood knows that Andy draws.
Okay.
Andy's a talented artist. So when they found out Andy was doing hair, it was almost kind of easy for them to try me out
Yeah.
because they knew I was a good artist.
Okay.
So I was still messing heads up. Probably nobody knew it, but every cut I was doing was like I was in a jam.
Oh shoot.
Like my first year of cutting hair, I was just trying to bail myself out of mistakes.
Okay.
That's why I love when somebody comes in here with a terrible haircut
Yeah.
that they tried on themselves because I know exactly what to do to fix it.
That's good.
So that was basically my first year of cutting hair. I didn't think cutting hair was gonna be like a money maker supporting myself as an adult until later. That's why I did, so many odd jobs growing up. And eventually I found myself miserable, broke, always left jobs in bad terms.
Right.
Never got my last check handed to me, always got it in the mail. Bad terms.
Right.
I hated 9-to-5s. So eventually I was like, man, if I'm gonna be broke and miserable, I might as well do something I enjoy and be
Right.
broke. So I planned on being a broke barber.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Because at that time, it wasn't what it is today.
So I would say you probably came in at the best.
Perfect time.
Like your whatever year you was born
Right.
was destined.
Right, 100%.
So, all right, you quit that last job. right? Now we at your last job, you quit. You still drawing and stuff? Like, so like,
Always.
all right, so you always drawing. When did you say, you know what? Screw the odd job, screw quitting, getting my check in the mail.
Right.
I'm about to really do this barber thing.
Morning.
Good morning. No, you good. This is authentic right here. I actually like this. This makes it real organic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, is there an Andy Mandoza here?
Hey, that's me.
That's you, fantastic.
Appreciate you.
Okay, that's it. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
You
Sorry
too.
to interrupt.
Oh no, not at all. So what happened? All right, now you're like, yo, I'm not doing no more odd jobs. Like, what was next?
So my last job, so I quit every job I ever had. Then I did cut hair at this one barbershop. A friend of mine had it, but I wasn't licensed yet.
Yeah.
And that's like working illegally. You know,
Right.
I was never comfortable there. But it gave me like a little taste of maybe I can make this happen. So from there I decided to go to hair school. After I got my license, I don't tell too many people this, but after I got my license, I took a year off because while I was in hair school, I don't know if this is too
Look, man, this
hot.
is yo, we here, man.
So you know the perks were like booming.
Right.
I don't know if we ever talked about this, but like I started hustling them, and I
Right.
made, and that was like I don't like promote it or anything like that, but that did give me like it gave me like a cushion where I could take a year off, really think about my life, not worry about paying bills, actually catch up on some bills.
Oh,
I
yeah.
cleaned out a lot of debt and sat on my license, and I was like, this is like the perfect time for me to cut hair.
Right.
Like I'm sitting on a little bit of money. I don't gotta worry about not making enough money. And the thing is booming right now, you know,
Right.
like the industry that I've been kind of a part of for the past 10 years is on Instagram now, and it's popping. Let's do it.
So 10 years you was on and off with this thing.
Yeah, doing it on the side, doing house calls for $10, $20. I used to work third shift, come out of third shift like at 7 a.m., go cut somebody's hair. Yeah, it was crazy. But I enjoyed it though. I always enjoyed it.
Yo, this convo could go so many ways.
Yeah,
You know that, right?
yeah.
Yo,
I'm trying not to go too. I
nah,
got
nah,
so much going in my
I'm
mind.
trying to make sure I cover all this.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right, 10 years, it clicks. You doing your thing. You was able to do whatever you was doing to survive.
Yep.
Now, because I feel like when I was younger getting the cut, I did feel like, I don't want to say I didn't think barbers had money, but like, I always felt like they wasn't business savvy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I would see a barber and I didn't think business. I
Right.
just like, how can I word this without being disrespectful? Like,
It's true. You
just
have to
neighborhood,
be, 'cause I do it.
Yeah, just a dude from the hood that got a trade that so happened to be good in it, and like he's just not. I can't even think millionaire when I look at barber.
No.
But when social media came, all of a sudden, like you said, I just started to see.
Yeah.
I just started to see a, what's the word I want to look for? I don't know, like incline or just like the money. It
Yeah.
looked like you could see what it could be, like you were
Right.
saying.
Right.
So now that you know that, oh, Junk, 10 years go by, I can make this. What's your next step?
So, I mean, to add to what you said, that's the reason why I stayed away from the barbershop for so long, because I knew all the barbers were broke.
Yeah.
Like, if they wasn't slanging on the side, no, I don't know any retired barbers till this day like that are really, really like legit retired.
Like, well off. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yo,
nah,
they
not
worked.
like that.
Right.
Not like that. So, when I decided to finally get in there, I did start, but it helped me that, like you said, you know, I stayed away from it for so long, the professional side, that I jumped into it as an adult,
Yeah.
able to manage my time, appreciative of money,
Yep.
because you know back then I used to make like 400, 500 a week on a 9 to 5.
Okay.
When I got into a barbershop and I was making like at first like 250 a day, I was like, yo, this is insane. When you broke, you start touching some money. You're like, man, this could end. So let me save. And I noticed that it was working, you know, and I was licensed. It was the perfect opportunity for me to really get into it. And, you know, social media just kept fueling me.
So, you had a family at the time, or like what was? Because you know you telling me you was broke. Like
Yeah.
was kids involved? You know when you got a family and you broke, that's a whole nother type of broke, man.
Let me
That's
see. I think my daughter had just been born. She was probably like less than 1 year old when I was starting. So I was just serious, bro. I was gonna make it work, you know. My wife was a stay at home. So yeah, I was gonna make it
yeah, no
work, man.
choice.
Yeah, I was gonna make it work.
Now, I never usually meet the guy who owns the shop. I only know barbers that like they work in the shop.
Yeah.
How did you get the mentality to want to like own your shop?
That's a good question. A lot of people get into it for money. I really had no interest in like having a shop for the pure purpose of making money. I wanted to like I felt so good that I was able to turn my life around cutting hair.
Yeah.
And I knew that there was a lot of barbers out there or people that could be barbers that were at dead end jobs. So I really wanted to just create the opportunity. Like I wanted to make everybody a success story like me. I love the environment. I wanted the environment to be different. I wanted to be a different type of owner. And then, you know, you start also seeing the numbers and the potential that it has for other barbers to open up under you and stuff like that, which is what I plan on doing. But yeah, initially owning the shop, I had no idea what I was getting into as an owner.
Right.
Because I had no managing experience. I
gonna
didn't even
say.
know that existed.
Right.
But I enjoy the environment that I created.
What would you say? Because like now, like I said, we see the improv. The environment is dope. Like, look, my wife found you. Like,
Yep.
cause like I feel like you can never have enough barbers. Cause what if one goes on vacation? What if
Yep.
one, you know, like you're busy, right? So it's like, I'm like, okay, how do you? I feel like barbers are like contractors. Cause like
Yeah.
I'm in real estate, right? One contractor could fuck you up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure
So
could.
she found you on social media. I'm just giving you the backstory, how we even here.
Yeah.
And I saw you, and I was like, you was like a funny dude. I said, there's no way this dude he jokes too much. Like, I ain't used to barber.
Yeah.
I'm used to them like, yo, hold on the phone,
Right.
cutting, chilling maybe, but like you were like, your personality was off the roof.
Yeah.
I'm like, this dude can't cut hair. There's no way. Like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's too funny.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm telling you, try it. Then I started going through your social. I was like, oh shit, like he did. All right, let me see it for myself. I walked in. I don't know, the lights are nice and bright. It's little stuff for me, right?
Right.
The floor is nice. Like, I don't want to call myself bougie, but it's like
Right. No, you
I
want
like
a good place.
if I'm gonna pay a certain amount, we gonna get to that. If I'm gonna pay a certain amount, then a lot of stuff. At least I want to be in a chair where it's like I'm comfortable, and I think you nailed that.
Yeah.
But before, how did you work your way? Was it always like that for you? Like, cause you said you ain't had the business, right? So like, what was like some stuff you had to overcome before you got to this point?
So barbers, it's crazy, man, but I don't know how many other industries are like this, but barbers, they're real interesting people, man. Like, they're artists, you know. When you work with artists, it's a Pandora's box, you know. You got to guide them through things that you would feel like most adults should be able to do.
Right.
So I mean, not to get into like the details of specific barbers I've had, but it was never easy. Let me see. So a couple things that I had to dial into was, you know, every barber in here kind of represent me in some way. So even stuff like just being kind, treating people right, you know, saying hi to people when they walk in, like something like that I had to remind people to do. You know, and it's weird, man, because most of this stuff comes natural to me. Like if somebody walks in the door and I show them all my teeth and smile and they, yo, what's up, man? Like I really feel that. You know, I don't gotta act act like I want to do that. I enjoy it and I'm appreciative. I don't know if it's cause of that background I told you I came from, you know, just working so hard to make nothing. And also, you know, I grew up in poverty. So I really appreciate when somebody comes in here. Like I'm thankful.
Wow.
And I want to make sure they feel that, you know, and I just don't always find people that are willing to give that energy without being reminded to, you know, so.
Not to cut you off, but it's funny that you say that. I felt that when I came in the shop from you.
Yeah.
So like usually, not like I could tell you really wasn't doing it for money. I'm like, this dude really loves this shit.
Yeah,
Like
for real.
this is his life. Like he would do this for nothing. And like I don't like I said, I'm only going off the experience I had. I feel like some like I'm not talking for all of them, but like you said, some don't have that personality. Whereas like I don't know, it's like I'm a number to them. I hate to feel like I'm a number, right?
Nah.
Like if you remember my name, some dudes don't even remember your name. It's just like they don't remember. Like when someone remembers the cut you want in your name, to me that's just like I don't know. I feel good about giving my money to that
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
I think you execute that very well. So I can only imagine someone with a personality like Tarquin, let's say, right? Tarquin's quiet, right?
Right.
He's quiet. But like you saying you had to remind people to say like, yo, good morning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You kind of, that management, that shit ain't easy, man.
No, it ain't. It ain't. It's shocking too, man. You don't think that you need to do that with adults, but you do, man. It's crazy. This is one of the few industries, like, you know how you said that most barbers are like contractors, right? So every chair is like its own business.
Right.
But not everybody's good at doing business, you know, like they wonder how I'm booked all the time. It ain't because of social media, man. You just gotta treat people right. Like everybody that sits in your chair,
Yeah.
give them that respect and that kindness, and it's gonna bubble.
You say you grew up in poverty, man. Do you feel, how can I put this? Do you feel like this was the only industry for you? Like, do you feel like there was another, you could have been doing something else? I feel like when people grow up in poverty, this is my opinion, right? They're all or nothing on something that they're good at. Most people can be like, you know what, this is my only, they're like tunnel vision on something they find
Yeah.
good. Was there anything else you could have been? You feel like how or like what was going through your mind when you was growing up in poverty, I guess, as far as being an artist?
That's it. Like literally, I remember there used to be a mall when I was growing up over there in Waterbury, Naugatuck Valley Mall. They tore it down now.
Yeah.
But there was a little fountain in there. And I love when like I get triggered by these little memories.
Right.
But there was a fountain in there, right? And you know, people throw little pennies and nickels into fountains and make wishes.
Right.
Every time I went there with my mom's out asking for a penny, a nickel, she give me a dime. I'm like, oh shit, this one might work. I would always just say, even at like 10, 12 years old, 14, 13, whatever I was, I would always say, God, you know, I don't know what God got to do with a fountain, but that's who I was talking to.
Right.
I'd be like, God, you know, I don't care what I do, just let it be off of art. Let me make money as an artist. I never said drawing, never said hair, never said music, never said fashion. I just knew that I was gonna be happy doing art, and I wanted him to make it right, make it work for me with art.
Yeah, I respect the fact that you had that mind.
Yeah, I don't know where that came
That's
from.
crazy.
But I used to throw them that change in there. They got me for at
got
least
you.
$3 over the years. But
Damn. So all right. So now I'm just going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
This could go anywhere. How did you build the clientele to? Because I would say you got some pretty high profile clients.
yeah.
How did you build that? How did it get to that level?
So I mean, kind of going back to what you mentioned a little earlier about the value, the price.
Yeah.
Right? How did I get to my price? Because the price weeds out a lot of, you know, I don't know, people that might not be doing too good, you know?
It is.
So my price is where it's at, because like, you know how you said some people might get to the point where they just don't want to do it no more. Barbers just, is a routine to them. They're not excited to be at work.
Right.
So I told myself when I got really, really busy and I started traveling a little bit, I was like, I need to make sure that every day I cut hair, I'm not like waiting for the time to go home.
Right.
And one way that I could do that is by pricing myself at a place where I'm happy.
Okay.
And that's what I did. You know, I just set my prices. Every time I was booked to capacity, I would go up $10, go up 10, go up 10. And I mean, I've always been able to go up another 10. Sometimes I just stick around just because, you know, pandemic or whatever.
Right,
But
right.
I've been booked, man, for the past like almost 8 years, you know. And my bad. And
I don't cut you.
after I did that, it's just, you know, I started meeting more entrepreneurs. I started meeting people. And the dopest thing is when I meet myself in another industry.
Right.
Like dudes that are out
Like,
there getting it,
yep.
focused, valuing themselves, believing in themselves. And that's when shit is an explosion at the chair, because now they're bringing me to higher levels, and hopefully I'm doing the same for them.
How do you trap? Like, how do you get to that point? Like, what was the point? What can you look back and say, the moment where you knew, like, oh shoot, like
Yeah.
this person or this moment or this like how you got like cause like you got a lot of shit going on. You travel, like you could kind of get into it. Like right now, besides cutting hair, like what do you do? Cause I know sometimes I see when I'm trying to book you, you're like, yo, I'm going here
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So like, what are you doing on those trips?
So my first goal when I started cutting hair full time was just to be booked and make money and make a lot of money. Once I hit that goal and I was growing on social media, I started seeing other goals. I started seeing dudes that were going to hair shows and winning battles. And then I saw the haircuts. I was like, I compete with that.
Yeah.
So I started going into battles, won 3 or 4 of those. And I was like, all right, what's next? I'm seeing people get sponsored by big companies. And I was like, shoot, if that's something in this, I don't know, it's kind of like that human nature to always want to achieve more.
Elevating. You just keep going.
Yeah, so I remember I got sponsored by my first company, and then he booked me to fly to Detroit, Cali, Ohio, little small shows. You know, I was probably making like 300 for a whole day, maybe even 250 when I first started.
Okay.
But that was big, and you know, with that social media growing like that, and me being sponsored and traveling, like some people, social media. This is the thing. Probably before I started really traveling, I was doing free classes at local hair schools.
Okay. See, that's the part they don't know.
Right. So, and I'm glad I didn't leave it out, because all they see is me in front of 80 kids
Exactly.
going, this is Andy Authentic, and I'm here at, you know, oh, everybody's going crazy.
Right, right.
So now a promoter in Ohio be like, yo, this kid's popping, let me book him. And I'm getting the emails, my first time ever negotiating anything. So I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm thinking like 8-hour day. I make like at that time maybe 300-400. I was like, just give me 300 and pay my flight, you know?
Right.
I just want to be out there, man. Just cover my day and I'm good. So, you know, it started like that, and it just kept escalating, man. Eventually I got to the point where I was communicating with celebrity barbers. That's probably huge. That's like something that every barber wants to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Would you call yourself that? Do you like that title?
Nah, because I'm not willing to give up being a local barber to do it. So I'm not a celebrity
That's
barber.
why I asked you. I said, yo, how long you doing this for, man? Cause
Yeah.
You seem like you might just disappear.
Nah, I can't. I'll forget who I am if I leave the barbershop.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, I'll tell you this. You cut. I mean, there's someone behind you, right? I think this guy might be in sports.
Mm-hmm.
He might be known for the best shape up line since I was a kid. No, this is real. Like this is before I even knew you.
Yeah.
His hairline was like the talked about like hairline. Like yo, I got it. Yo, his cut is nice. Every time he's talking on ESPN, as a kid, this is before I even knew you cut this man's hair.
Yeah.
How did you even get to cutting? How did you even meet Jay? How did you get to cut Jalen Rose's hair?
Yeah. So those guys like that, they don't walk in the shop.
Nah.
So he got a barber in Atlanta. That's a celebrity barber. He cuts a shit ton of celebrities, man. Grant Hill. He even cuts C Webb. He cuts
Oh yeah, see well, yeah,
Chris,
these dudes
yeah,
is legendary
he
with the
cut
fresh.
Chris Tucker. He cut a bunch of celebs out there. So he reached out to actually a barber out here that does a huge hair expo, Jay Majors. Jay cut Jalen maybe twice, and Jalen was like, "Yo, I might need you like 4 days a week, 5 days a week soon." And Jay was like, I can't keep up with that. He's more of an entrepreneur than a barber, but he'll cut celebs every now and then just because of for what it is.
Right.
But he was like, I can't keep up with that, but I got a kid in Bristol, right there, and he's up and coming. He's kind of killing it right now. I'll introduce you to him. I cut Jalen that first time. I remember it was so weird, man. I cut him here the first time maybe like almost 8 years ago. First thing I noticed when he sat in my chair, I looked at his skin, and I was like, yo, his skin glows like somebody who rich. I was like, yo, this dude is like, he showers in like almond oil or some shit.
Butters going
I
on.
don't know what's going on. I was like, yo, like you could tell like he's not living like regular
Right,
people. And I was so nervous, man. I remember usually I cut hair with the chair facing where I'm most comfortable at.
Yeah.
But when I was cutting his hair, his first time here, he's a celebrity. I was facing him in the mirror on some like salon shit,
Right.
and then walking around him, trying to make sure he always looked at the mirror, trying to make him comfortable. Then after a while, I was like, I kind of told him, I was like, hey, if I usually like to aim my client towards the light, so I'm gonna have to turn you off. He was like, fam, do what you do. Everything, what you do every day, do what you do every day.
Right.
Shit, once he said that,
Got into
man,
it.
I rotated that chair, put him right where I wanted him, and just went in. When I knocked that shit out the park, I gave him a perfect ass haircut, and he was back. Then he came back. Then he started inviting me to ESPN, and I was cutting his hair in there. I was the only barber in there, while there was a bunch of makeup artists in there. That's something that I tell barbers all the time, man. Don't I always tell them, don't be shy to learn anything. Don't style hair, do makeup.
Right.
Don't let that machismo barber thing stop you from doing anything, because we ain't represented in that realm.
That's true.
Like, I was in there alone, you know what I'm saying? And there was just a bunch of makeup artists working with clients that they don't know how to work.
Yeah, that's crazy. So after that, y'all formed this relationship.
Yeah.
It seems like it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It seems
yeah.
like he's a near good friend to you.
Yeah.
Your networking skills is off the charts, bro. Like, I think people underestimate networking. Like, I think that's a job in itself. Like, I mean, that's why there's consultants, right? I
Yeah.
feel like you're more than just a barber. Like, you're a barber, you're a consultant, you're a marketer. Like, how did you just learn this along the way? Or, like, you feel like you've always had all those skills? Like, I feel like you could, instead of a barber, you could have been a consultant, bro. Like, you literally could be
Yeah.
a marketer for, I mean, you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I could kind of see that. I think that falls into like two things. I remember when I was young, I remember this art teacher at an art class in high school always told me, you're very easy to work with. She told me that. And I probably didn't understand it 100% when I was 16, 17, or maybe like around 16. But what she wanted to tell me with that was, you're very approachable. The tone of your voice, your body language, you know what I'm saying, is real easy for people to work with me and approach me. So I think that's still there. Like, when I walk in a room, I don't seem like I'm up to nothing. I'm bringing energy.
Right.
I'm bringing laughter if it's time for it. So that's big. And then another thing, the reason why I'm able to identify talent, like when I sit with somebody and I be like, yo, it's possible for you to do this and this and this. I just love to make things better. That goes with the artist in me, but also like sometimes I'll see like a girl that looks a certain way and she ain't doing shit. And I'd be like, damn, if she were to let me manage her,
Right. Exactly.
I could get her on Fashion Nova in no time.
Yep.
I always see people and think like that. So, yeah.
The pricing of a cut these days, I feel like that's a big topic, huge topic for conversation. You said, your price kind of weeded out certain people. And then we all know what Jalen said.
Right.
He was talking about the $100 cuts, and it made a big buzz all over.
Yeah.
Shoot, even me, I was locked in. I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is very interesting because like my mom, she's not a hairdresser, but she wanted to be one, so she does it on the side, right? People come do it, so like I know what goes into being a hairdresser. You know what I mean? Because I've seen that growing up.
Yeah.
I know the labor can be intense. What's your thoughts? Shoot, what was your thoughts on those comments?
Yeah, yeah.
Man? Like, let's
Bruh.
just, I'm gonna get straight. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, this is why I get booked to do like seminars. You know, I talk about this.
Yeah.
And barbers want to hear what I got to say about that.
Right.
So I do believe that there's a price for every budget, and I think any adult that's happy with what they're earning, you go ahead and do that.
Right.
You know, but I know for a fact, like from the 80s to 2023, where we at now,
Yeah.
barbering is not where it's supposed to be. Like our industry is behind, and it's evident when you take barbering away. You know, like when the pandemic happened and barbers weren't around,
Right.
people were scrambling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nobody realized that the barber is the one that brings morale up. The barber is a therapist. He's a brother.
For sure.
He's a hand. You know, like, count on your barber.
Right.
You know, and we're there with you when you get married. We're there with you when you're trying to get that job. We're there with you at the baby showers or whatever it is. We're always there, you know. So I know for a fact barbering is behind. And let's see. So the $100 haircuts. Technically what he said was, you know, you can't expect to get that filet mignon, that barber that's always booked. You can't expect to sit in his chair for less, if you're not like a VIP client.
Right.
That's basically what it is. So if somebody calls me and I'm off or I'm booked, what's gonna make me work is, you know, 100 plus.
Right. Right.
You know, if it's my day off, we might even double, triple that.
Right.
So I tell barbers this all the time when I travel. You know, barbers are the most cowardly professional that you could find on this planet, and I tell that to them. Whether it's 60 of them or 6,000 of them,
Yeah.
I tell that to them. You know, you guys are cowards. Before you raise your price based on what you think you deserve, you keep your prices low based on what you think people can afford. You know, and that's not the proper way to run any business. Like, Walmart don't tell us when they raise their price.
It's true.
You know, gas goes up and we never even notice. But when it's time for a barber to give himself a raise, it's like a pulling teeth. You know, it's a bad day. Like, I remember going into a 9-to-5 factory, and if they was like, "Hey Andy, we're gonna give you a review," you know, I knew what time it was. I was gonna get a raise that day, so it's a happy day. I'm just, you know, woo, let's go.
Right. Right.
Now, when it's time for me to give myself a raise as a barber, I got to think about what client that I've grown to enjoy being around for the past couple of years I might lose. Or what client is going to be like, you're going to do this to me.
Right.
You know, I can't get grandfathered in.
I think people was on eggshells when they heard that.
Yeah. No, a lot of people thought I was going to go up. And, you know, I've been due to go up for a couple of years now. But like I said, the whole pandemic thing, I kind of just chilled. But, I mean, it depends on the adult, man. Right. What are you bringing home to your kids? You know, are you happy with it? Or is your kid not in private school because you're not making enough? What you gonna do about it?
True.
You know, if I ever got to choose between my kids or clients, you know which way I'm going.
Yeah, you don't even got to answer that.
You know, so it's always been about that. I never raised my price based on like where I felt my status was or nothing like that. It was always about demand and what I want to do at home. You know, like, do I feel like I'm affording what I deserve? And right now, I think I'm doing pretty good for a dropout out of high school. You know, first kid in my family line that is a homeowner. My wife, I'm sending her to go get her second degree now, you know, and she also works now too. She just became a 6-figure female. So like, I'm really trying to do some real shit. You know, you can't do that on unlimited income. You gotta step it up.
And you're a barber?
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was dope, by the way. How did you survive the pandemic?
Oh, that was crazy, bro. Like, financially, thank God I was good. I had enough put away.
Yeah.
But mentally, that was serious. I gotta like revisit how I felt at that time. I'm the type of person like I never realized that I was like a scaredy cat.
What you mean?
That's the best way I could put it.
Oh, shit.
Or at least it was weird because let's see. So when I started hearing in the news that there was a virus out there that you can get no matter what you do, you can't, like if I see a lion, I'll stay away from them.
Right.
I'll stay in shelter.
Yep.
And I don't even want nothing to do with them.
Right, right.
But a virus, I can't defend myself. Like they're saying people were getting stuffed into refrigerated tractor trailers in New York City. That's only 2 hours away. So I was like, I'm gonna die.
Right.
You know, and that like triggered anxiety in me. And I never felt anxiety before in my life. Like I never felt like my chest was a little more closed and I couldn't breathe the same. I felt like I had COVID because of anxiety.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was feeling. So like mentally that shit like put me in a real bad place, man. I remember like laying down. I talk to God, but I don't pray. What's the word I'm looking for? Like on a schedule, you know what I'm saying? Consistently.
Consistently, yeah.
I don't pray like that.
Right.
I talk to him. I'll say thank you here and there.
You're not
and stuff.
like consistently every day. Right.
Man, as soon as that pandemic hit, like a week later, I'm holding my wife's hand, babe, you want to pray with me? You know, like we're
Right.
some hypocrites, man.
Right.
we look for them until we really need
You
them.
need them.
But yeah, that pandemic, that shit, it took me to like a crazy place. And also, but it also showed me, man, like barbers, we're not as like when they called us non-essential, I remember getting on stage and I told barbers, like, you know, we're not non-essential, right? Like y'all could stop acting like you're guaranteed in this community. You know what I'm saying? We're a luxury. So then when I started preaching that to barbers, like when it's time to raise your price, just remember, you ain't milk and eggs. You something extra. You like getting tailored for a suit. You're luxury, you know? And that's kind of like where I came out of the pandemic as. Like I came out just preaching a more value to us and really talking to people about what that role we play in the community too, because we didn't see that. We didn't feel like we were that until it was taken away from the community. And then,
True. I think it might have did good after the fact for y'all.
Yeah.
During, I don't know if people lost businesses that you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
or
a
like
lot.
went out.
A lot of barbers left barbershops, went to go do their own thing at studios.
Right.
It was crazy. I'm fortunate, man. I kept all of my barbers stayed. My clientele, as soon as we opened up, they were still there. A few people fell off. You know, people, like I said, I was so scared during the pandemic. I didn't cut no hair.
Yo, wow.
You know, you couldn't pay me to cut hair at that time. I was just too scared. Like I really thought there was gonna be mummies, like zombies out
The
there.
Walking Dead or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I thought it was gonna be a wrap. I didn't even think I was gonna be a barber. Like the way they was like, you gotta like put on a mask, you put on a face shield.
Yeah.
I can't do your beard.
Right.
I was like, how's this gonna work? I got bald head clients that
Right.
get nothing but a beard. You know.
So what would you say you learned from it? Do you feel like, even though you realized you was valuable, like, do you feel like, man, I could be taken out. Like I could lose my spot like any day if something crazy happened.
Yeah, nothing's promised. I learned a lot, man. Like a big thing I learned too was about financials. Like up until then, I know myself, barbers, we don't claim what we make.
Right.
Like right now, if you look on like a national average of what barbers make, it's like 34 grand. And bro, barbers don't make that. Like barbers are definitely doing six figures, but we don't claim it because we don't want to pay Uncle Sam. But when it was time for us to get like
the money,
all them loans, all that, like even unemployment. Like I remember hitting up unemployment, and I was like, you know, what are you guys gonna do? They're like, well, send us your tax returns and apply online. And I qualified for like $200 a week. You know what I'm saying? Terrible. I'm back to worse than when I first started. That's when I realized like I cheated myself, you know, like I played myself. And a lot of barbers do, and I preach that when I travel. I'll teach 100 people. I'll have 100 people, in a little seminar, and I'll be like, how many of y'all right now claim exactly what you make a week? Like 20% raise their hand, and I know that's really like 5%.
Right.
How many of y'all got life insurance? 2 people raise their hand. How many of y'all investing in a 401k or a SEP IRA or something? How many of y'all got some type of retirement plan in order? Nobody. 2, 3 more people.
Right.
How many of y'all got kids? Half of them
Everybody.
raise their hand.
Right.
So then that's when I just go, y'all don't love y'all kids. Boom. And everybody's just quiet. But I tell them, like, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys are making money. You don't want to claim it. You don't want to save it. What are we doing here?
Wow. Dang, that's
Yeah, I talk about all that
yeah.
stuff.
You doing way more than I don't want to say than you need to be. You actually
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
a great thing. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah. Do you know what you're doing right now? Like you're leading the whole industry.
Yeah, yeah.
Of people, and like when you bring in the whole life insurance thing, I talk about that too. That's you care about. You care
Yeah.
about other barbers apparently,
Yeah.
because I don't see too many people that would want to spend the time to be trying to, shape people's business
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to, what they do. So I
Yeah.
respect the hell out of you for that, man.
Thank you.
I think you kind of changed obviously you and others, but
Yeah, yeah,
me
yeah.
knowing you, like you definitely changed the whole dynamic of this barber thing now. I feel like now a kid may see it and go, I want to do that.
Right. And they do. Yeah, I be having young kids in my DM, 16, 17. Hey, I'm up and coming barber from Wisconsin. I really look up to you. Could you tell me anything? Give me some words of encouragement, whatever. I keep it short, man. Just stay focused, do what you love and show up every day. I keep it like that. But a lot of barbers, like the 80s barbers,
Yeah, I wanted to get into
they
that.
left us a bullshit industry, man. I ain't even gonna lie. That whole, clients walking into the shop waiting 3 hours for a haircut. Hey, I'll get you next. Come by in 3 hours. Come
Yeah.
by in 1 hour. All that bullshit. That was terrible. And hairdressers, they've been on the booking schedules. They've been on paying taxes. They've been on retirement. Barbers don't. There's barely any barbers in like unions. There's unions in New York that deal with film and commercial.
Right.
There's no barbers in there. There's females that do makeup, doing hair right now, doing beards. It's crazy. That's the thing with Jalen. Like, I've traveled with him to Gatorade commercials, Star Wars, Disney, ESPN, BetMGM. Like, I've been on all these sets,
Yeah.
and I'm the only brown black person in there dealing with brown black hair,
Ain't that
besides
crazy?
a bunch of makeup artists. And it's just like they're set. They got retirement coming. But the talented dudes are all in the hood. They don't know what to do next.
All right. Let's go way back. Like history of barbering.
Right.
Where it start?
I mean, back then,
Like let's
that
go
barber
back.
pole, that red, blue, and white barber pole, red and white stripes. That's because barbers were like basically like doctors, and that what I learned in school is that red and white stripes, they would cut the client or something like that, then bandage them, and like bloodletting,
Yeah.
like letting the blood out. That would be a form of like cleaning their system or something. That's where it kind of came from.
Wow.
But barbers have always been held at a high regard, almost like a doctor back then,
Right.
And then back in like, I don't know, 50s, 60s, they used to be suited and booted, button up, laying clients back, giving them the lather, shave, all that. I don't know, somewhere along the line, barbering just kind of lost that quality, that ranking,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
It's
like a
starting to come
real.
back though.
It's nah. You bringing it back. It's like when I think of like the barbershop, it's like a part of the culture. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
the craziest conversations happen here. It's almost like you could just tell your life.
yeah.
Your whole people give their life. I'm sure people will tell you the most personal.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Like you said, I mean, that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because like I find it interesting where it is now. I feel like there's a lot more room for it to gain traction as far as like the respect factor. I think
Yeah,
you're bringing that back. Um, your parents like are they like proud of you that you're a barber? Like you know how some people like, oh man, I just want my parents to be proud. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't picture someone back then like telling, all right, you know, I'm a barber like to their parents like,
Right.
and they're proud. I feel like your parents, your mom or somebody like, how do they feel like your family when they see you now?
I remember my mom definitely. I remember getting my test result from the state to be a barber. I remember getting it. And that's the first time I ever celebrated like a victory with my mom. Cause you know I don't knock her, but she used to never like really come to my basketball games,
Right.
and I didn't have that, you know. So that was the first time I ever really remember like celebrating, hugging my mom because I accomplished something. So when I got that license, she was with it. My dad, you know, back in the day, he used to do really good with restaurants, like he was in the $1 million category.
Oh really?
Yeah, before he kind of like fucked it up, but you know, he made a lot of money. So when I told him I was gonna be a barber, like usually you tell somebody you're gonna be a barber, they got a number pops in their head like
Right.
that's your max.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, he was like, you know, that's good, you know, but he would just tell me, you know, there's not many ways that you can produce without doing it, and you know it's true. You can't like multiply yourself. It's really hard to like create income stream
Right.
if your hands are what is doing it, you know. So I kind of like felt that from him, but it was just happy that I wasn't on the streets, man.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
they wasn't really being too picky with it.
That's what's up,
And you
man.
know, my relationship with my dad is just kind of like it's been in and out. And I told you we took our huge breaks, so he's happy though. He's happy.
That's fair, man. I'm like I said, this could go so many
Yeah,
ways,
yeah, yeah.
man. I'm glad I met you, man. Like you changing the game when it comes to this stuff, man. And like now I see you on live, like I'm watching your lives. Like I don't know, you making me like really do more research
Right.
into this. So I guess when I say what's the future look like for you, man? Like does it stop here? Or like are you thinking is there anything bigger that you got that you want, or you feel are you coasting at this point?
I definitely got it on cruise control. I did build some productive and strong relationships that I'm maintaining. I'm never gonna stop reaching for more. Like I got a couple other goals that I want to do. I definitely want to open up a hair school. I feel like I could help a lot more people like that. And it's kind of like eventually I got to stop relying on my hands so much. I got to create a system where I could generate income when I'm not working, you know.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm never gonna stop cutting because that's where I just everything about me comes from that chair, you know. Like I'm a reflection of every client I got, basically, and a
Right.
little bit of myself, you know. Like and we've had, and I'm glad I met you, man, because we've unlocked some stuff about ourselves
Yeah.
that's dope. I know for sure for me it helped me out, knowing that I'm not the only one that went through, you know, difficulty with parents, traumatic
Yeah.
experiences,
Right.
all that stuff. So that's what I love about being a barber. You know, getting to open up those conversations.
How did you get your own clippers, bro?
Oh, the Clipper deal, that was
How does that work? Like how are you doing this? Like what? I seen you on some clippers.
yeah. They just came out with the Low Pros Babyliss Pro. They hooked it up. They're actually out of Connecticut,
Oh
Stanford.
word. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but they're a global company. That was just a goal, man. Like once social media, once I started getting into it, I established myself as one of the barbers to look at in the country. They picked me up, um, travel around the world, just putting in mad work, mad sacrifice. You know, like creative. You when you're a influencer,
Yeah.
creativity can't stop. You know, so I'm always thinking of ways to stand out, man. And you know, every now and then they'll pick somebody. There's been a few before me
Yeah.
that have clippers, but you know, that was my turn. That was definitely a goal, man. Putting my picture on that box. That's the first thing I brought a pair of clippers and trimmers to my dad when I
That's what I'm
when I
saying.
when I went out to DR.
Yeah.
And you know, he probably never saw me play ball or do none of that stuff. Never saw any of my trophies growing up.
Right.
Barely cut any cakes together for
Right.
birthdays. But shit, I brought him them clippers, you know, and he was happy about that.
I'm sure. Do barbers have beef with each other? Are there
Oh my
beef
God.
with barbers? Like, what's the?
That's the worst, man.
How does that happen, yo? Yeah.
Dude, it's ridiculous, man. But there's so much beef between barbers. It's not even funny, man.
Yo, it's funny because you said like you wanted to go to the best barber. I feel like even if you were to like have a consistent barber and then you go to another, let's say I went to somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I wanted to go to you, right? Like how you wanted to go to that other guy.
Right.
I feel like now there's beef with you and the barber. Like there's a lot of like with the client in the barber. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you
yeah.
go to this guy. You don't
Right.
ever find yourself doing. You ever find yourself doing something like that? Like
As a barber,
barber.
not. That's one thing about being an owner that I wanted to change. I wanted to change that in the environment. So me, like, I'm always booked, man. So every now and then a client will go to another barber in the shop, and I love it, man. Cause like if you gonna go to another barber, you might as well keep it in house,
right.
you know. So I promote that, and I don't know, man. Like I think barbers who beef with barbers, they're really not barbers. They're not artists
Right.
at heart.
At heart.
Because remember, I got into this because I loved it.
Right.
So I'm not taking nothing personal. You're paying me not for the haircut, just for that block of time. Once you sit in the chair, now it's art.
Right.
And I feel like not all barbers think that way. Some barbers used to be hustlers. Some barbers used to be, construction workers.
yeah.
Some barbers just used to do all this different stuff, and they bring a different energy into the shop. When this is really a place of art.
You think it's friendly competition if the beef have like, you know?
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
cut better than Andy.
Oh, yeah, no,
Andy think he good and I cut better.
Everywhere you go, you gotta look at who's next to you and level up,
Right.
or they're gonna level up. It has to be like that.
So your binoculars is on sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
are you scoping like? Oh, okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say like I put my guard down,
right.
you know, because I'm at a place or whatever. But I don't operate like that too much no more.
Yeah.
But at one point, yeah, I definitely had to look around. I know what it feels like to be the barber in a shop with no clientele.
Yeah. How was
'Cause
that?
that's how I started. You
That's
know?
what I'm saying. For you to get to, so everybody starts there. Everyone is
Yeah.
that barber. That's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I ain't going to Andy.
Yeah, man, you gotta sit down and be 3 walk-ins waiting, and you'll be sitting in your chair like, "Hey, I can get you right now." No, I'm gonna wait over here. You know, I remember that. I remember texting like close friends or cousins, like, "Yo, come through the shop. It's slow."
Yeah.
And I'll be cutting their hair. Then when somebody sees me finish their haircut, then they're like, "Oh, I'll try you out."
Right. So,
You know, but
so is that was all a part of your scheme?
yeah, that come up. It took a little bit, but
What advice you got for future barbers, man? I know you said you keep it short and simple, but if you had to give some type of advice, what would you do? What would you say?
fall in love with it. That's what I tell them first. Just fall in love with the art of barbering. And then, you know, today is easier than ever to get booked. Use that social media. It's free. There's barbers every day that's getting tired of doing it because they did it wrong.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a demand for new barbers. There's plenty of clients to go around. Stop beefing over clients, man. There's plenty of clients to go around. I gotta just keep stressing to them, man. Love it and stay hungry.
Yeah.
You know, that's really all it takes. It ain't hard to become a successful barber. Like sometimes I think to my head, I probably will never do this, but I feel like, yeah, if I were to move to like Boise, Idaho,
Right.
and I'll just start from scratch. I love this shit so much, and I got such good energy that I'll build that clientele up, man. Sometimes I just want to like test myself like that, you know.
Might be
But
something you might want to.
right, like, document it, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Because I don't know, I see sometimes I see barbers like sitting down or, you know, hours at a time, and I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah,
Like, not everybody's a good businessman, bro. Like,
that's true.
so I would that's what I tell kids when I go to like hair school book me. I'd be like, you know, you're running a business. Every client that walks through the door, make sure you give them a reason to come back. Don't treat people like whatever.
Question. Like the more questions just keep coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yo, like, so when you cutting, cause like besides Jalen, right? I seen you cut Raekwon, Wu-Tang, Ghostface, all these
Yeah.
people like NBA players. You talk like, and you kind of like play it real cool to me.
Yeah.
Like you're like, yo, it's what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. But like you you don't you ever fanned out like you seen someone like and you were like, oh shit, like that's this dude.
Right, right,
Like how do you? I don't know. Like Ghostface is like my favorite rapper, right?
right.
I don't even know how I couldn't even cut his hair. I'd be talking about Supreme Clientele, the albums he dropped. Like I think your demeanor, like
Yeah,
you know when to, you got it figured out, bro.
yeah. There's a few things that like happened to me or that I've learned along the way.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I learned them early on, so by the time I got to a lot of other people, I was already kind of experienced. The first thing I did, I feel like this was a mistake. It's nothing big,
Right.
but I feel like it taught me something that day. I was with Jalen. It was at a commercial set for Hotels.com, and they got this dude right here, Captain Obvious.
Oh yeah, right.
Right? So he walks in. I didn't know what we was doing. You know what I'm saying? We're at a commercial set. They got the catering going on. I'm eating like crazy.
Right.
Because that's the cool thing about being Jalen's barber. I don't got to do none of the rules that the staff does. I can
Right.
take a break when I want, eat what I want, walk
Right.
where I want, take pictures, as long as I don't post them that day.
Right.
But so Captain Obvious walks in and I look at him and go, oh shit, I know him.
Yeah.
And then he's bald head, but nobody knows that because he wears his hat.
Oh.
So I asked him, I was like, hey, what's up, man? I seen you in commercials. And I forgot what I said. I said, could we get a picture? And he didn't like shrug me off or nothing, but he wasn't in his costume, so he was like, yeah, when I get in my costume, we'll do it later, whatever. And then he kind of like never got around to it.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's what you get, motherfucker, for asking somebody for
Right.
a picture.
Right.
And
hit you right there.
thankfully
Right.
it was in private and it wasn't a big star.
Right.
It was just Captain Obvious.
Right.
But that kind of taught me a lesson, like, shut up, do your job.
Yeah.
And then also that same day, because barbers we learn to network
Right.
all the time. Like at hair shows, barbers are giving barbers business cards, which I never understood, but they teach you to network. Like, don't be scared to give somebody a business card and talk whatever. So the dude in charge that day of that commercial, I don't remember his name, but I remember just really making a point to give him my business card. Yo, you ever need a barber, let me know. Because there wasn't a barber there.
Right.
But I didn't know the game. I didn't know he can't even hire people like that. I mean, most of the time they can't, but a union is in charge of bringing talent to the film set.
Right.
I didn't know that. So I never got a call from him, And then at the same time, I also remember how they looked at me kind of like I don't think I seemed like I was like hungry like that. But at the same time, you got to remember, if you're pulling up to a film set, this is what I taught myself.
Yeah.
Bro, when you're pulling up to a film set with Jalen Rose, like, don't fucking be trying to like talk like because then they're looking at Jalen like, what, you ain't paying this dude enough?
Right.
That's kind of like something I taught myself. So now when I show up to a set, I'm willing to network as long as it really feels like the other end is doing the same.
Yeah.
So now I just keep it cool. I talk to people, what I'm saying, but I'm not out there pushing my card on people, stuff like that. So that's a couple things that happened to me that kind of helped me learn how to behave in that scenario. And then, what was the other one? Oh yeah, one time I had opened my doors to shadowing.
Yeah.
So people were paying me to
Look, to
hang
see.
out with me all day and cut hair.
Okay.
And then they will ask me questions, how I do this. I would explain this and that. We'll talk about the industry, whatever. We'll build, There's a girl that came out here from LA. She was a hairdresser out there, and she wanted to learn some fading and stuff. But she worked with a bunch of big names, and I remember asking her a few questions. And then I had told her that, I'm the type that's always like, joking around, blah, blah, blah. How are you? And I don't know if she kind of sensed that I needed to hear this, or if she just thought that was the question I asked. But I remember her telling me, like, sometimes these celebrities are so busy and they work so hard that they just want to get their hair cut. They just want to be sit in peace. And when she told me that, I remember at that point, I never sat down with Jalen without asking him 100 questions. You know, like, Jalen, how it feel when you first put the suit on in NBA? How'd you feel when you first got your $1 million?
Right.
What's the first thing you spent it on?
Right.
You know, just all these ignorant ass questions, you know? And she kind of like sparked something in me that day, like, wait for them to tell you what they want to do that day. You know, if they feel like they want to talk about basketball, rap, you know, whatever it is, just go off their vibe. So that's what I've been doing, you know. And they're human, bro. Like,
absolutely, right.
I told somebody this the other day. I remember one time I was cutting Jalen at his house, and you know, up to that point, I just had like this weird way of thinking of celebrities, like if they don't live like us, like humans, you know. But I remember on top of his table, he had like light bill, some other bill.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit, he get bills. He gotta bust them open and pay them just like me.
Yep.
You know, so that's when I started realizing, like, yo, they're just professionals that reached a different level. That's all.
Bro, it's been real, man. I appreciate this. I appreciate you talking, man, because a lot of knowledge. I don't want to be a barber, no, but I respect the hell.
You'd probably be a good one.
Yeah, I probably. You know, I'm not quite the artist. You know what I mean? Can anyone be a barber? Can you teach someone to be a barber? They're not like. Can you take me and be like, yo, I can show you how to be a barber? Or that's something you really gotta love and just kind of have some.
I think
skills.
nowadays the first thing I look for is character.
Okay. Oh,
Like, once you got like a good, honest character, then we could talk about like their hands. You know, you need creativity. You need to be able to like identify certain things within the haircut, and I could see that early. You know, I've taught people to cut hair, and I'll ask them, do you see the line? Do you see what we got to do next? And they can't see it. And if you can't see it, what am I gonna do now?
Right.
You know, so you gotta have art and character. Once you got that, yeah, I think anybody could do it. My boy.
This has been real, man. Oh, I love this.